Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast. I'm Steve Gurney, founder of Positive Aging Sourcebook. We're excited that you can join us for our interactive discussions with pioneers and thought leaders on a wide variety of topics related to aging and longevity. Today we have another interactive and live discussion with the leaders in moving, downsizing, and organizing. These discussions are anchored by a member of the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers and include panelists from other moving and downsizing solutions. This is brought to you by JK Moving Services and Positive Aging Sourcebook. So in this session, we featured Barbara Stohlman with Overwhelmed, How Can I Help? Heather Murphy from Abilities Network, and Alonso Zamora from White Glove Solutions. So let's jump into the discussion with my co-host Tom Grass of JK Moving Services.
Everybody. Tom Grass. I am the general manager of the JK Moving Gaithersburg, Maryland location. Our headquarters is in Sterling. We are the largest independent mover in the United States. Currently, I've been with JK for 16 years. Prior to that, I had my own company that I merged with JK. So I've been moving people and been in the business for just about 40 years now.
Great. And, this happened last month, but one thing that I really like to recognize the founder of JK, Chuck Kuhn, on and talk about I know there's a lot of great community outreach that JK does, but I was blown away at the fact that for those that are in the DC metro market, there's this ferry called White's Ferry that crosses the Potomac, and it's like something you've never seen before. It's this little ferry on a cable car, and it had to shut down, and Chuck Kuhn acquired that to keep that historic ferry going. But I know a lot of people depend on that to get across the Potomac. I'm correct in that.
Yep. So JK Moving, or the founder, did purchase White's Ferry. We're still in negotiations with the Virginia side, and we hope to have it operating somewhere in the month of April. So that should come around very shortly. The other community give back is we have a 150-acre farm that we have organic produce that we give to the Loudoun County Food Shelter, DC, Montgomery County, and it's the numbers like 50 tons worth of sweet potatoes and beans and peppers and tomatoes, and on top of that, there is some beef and venison and pork that is given to those community outreaches as well for the food insecure. So we're very much in tune with helping our community as well with our moving business. Excellent.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Tom, let's bring on our panel here, and everybody can see them on the screen. We've got Barbara, Heather, and Alonso. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see everybody here. And let's see, let me make sure Alonso there. All right, we got everybody here. Okay, so just to remind everybody on the format, at least for today, we're breaking this down into 3 rounds. Round 1, we get to know our panel member. Round 2, our panel members share some insights that they've got. And then round 3 is all about you. So you guys are driving the bus, and we want to hear your questions, comments, suggestions related to moving, downsizing, and organizing. So I'll kick things off with Barbara Stohlman. Barbara, tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Tom, for having us.
Sure.
We are certified, as everyone on this panel, through the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers. We're actually considered to be transition services companies. Had you asked me 10 years ago what a transition services company was, I wouldn't have been able to answer you. It was only because of my own personal experience, and I think most of us have had this personal experience where my mother had passed of Alzheimer's, and my father passed 4 months later, and they were in Florida and I was in Virginia. So when I went down to Florida to settle the estate, I didn't know where to start. I mean, how do you get rid of all this stuff? You know, who do you call? How do you get them to call you back? You know, are they background checked or certified? You know, what are the certifications? So, and I found myself sitting in the middle of my and parents' living room with my mother's jewelry box for hours, just, you know, going through the jewelry box. I couldn't detach from the task. It was very emotional. So when I came back, one of my friends, Mary Nelson, gave me an article on Transition Services Company. And I knew then and there that I wanted to start a transition services company to help people go through this. Our tagline is, you know, we minimize the stress, take the stress out of the transition. So that's more or less how I started the business 8 years ago, and
Great.
It's been rewarding ever since.
And the name of your company is Overwhelmed. How can I help? I love that. That's a pretty cool name. Make sure that that you drop your contact information into chat there, and same with all the panel members. But thanks, Barbara.
Very good. And I'd like to introduce Heather Murphy. Heather, I understand you're up in the Baltimore area, and if you'd like to tell us about your organization, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. And again, thank you all for having us today. This is exciting. But I am Heather Murphy. I am also a certified senior move manager. The company I work for is called Abilities Network. And yes, we are based in the Baltimore area, so a little north than some of the folks on the call, but we're here to help as well. Abilities Network itself is a nonprofit and has been around since 1964. And provides lots of different services in the Baltimore area. I was hired 10 years ago to launch our senior services division, which is where we do move coordination from. So we are actually celebrating our 10th anniversary and our 800th move within the last couple of months. So that's super exciting for us. And that makes us a little bit different. So since we are part of a nonprofit organization, we are afforded a lot of benefits to that. So we do still have our private pay clients who hire our services, just like Barbara, just like many of the other move managers out across the nation. But we're also able to get grant funding that helps subsidize the cost of moving services for lower income seniors in the Baltimore area who are moving into subsidized housing. So that's really exciting. That's kind of the feather in our cap that we like to brag about a bit. Cool.
No, that's great, Heather. And then last but not least on our panel is Alonso Zamora. And Alonso, let's see, there you go, unmuted. So Alonso, tell us a little bit about your background and your organization.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Press, thank you for hosting us today. And Steve, thank you so much. And I also want to thank our guests. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, all of you guys, for being here today and let us have this opportunity to talk to you guys. So I'm Alonso Zamora. I grew up in Washington, been here. Well, I was originally from Chile, but I've been here for 43 years. So I'm going to make it really quick for you guys. And I've always been in business and I've done a lot of things. So right now, I work for White Glove Solution. I don't own it. I work for my son. He's 23-year-old. And my other son, they both went to Woodson High School. Phenomenal school and the great opportunities. A lot of people have been helping and tremendous with the reach out there. But I've been an entrepreneur since I was probably about 10 years old, and obviously Hispanic. The great things about this country is it's given us a huge opportunity regarding. And now it's like my dad's 97. How do we help him? And he's mentored my kids, so they have a lot of respect, compassion, dignity, patience with him. So that's what they've implemented into their lives. So I'm also I've been a board of directors of Salvation Army for the last 12 years. I'm looking to step down from there. I'm also a board of directors, so I'm planning for senior life, and also board of directors of Be Thrifty, which is one of the largest thrift stores by footprint. It's about 103,000 square feet. It's in Woodbridge. It started in Woodbridge. Now we have one in Temple Hills, and we have one in Annandale, and we sold one in North Carolina. But our thing is working in construction for seniors. We have a CAP certification. We're also on NASMM. But, you know, a lot of people talk in our industry how people take advantage of seniors, correct? But I think on the other hand, I think that seniors are smart enough when they're being taken advantage. And that's when they're being taken advantage, that's when they tell somebody. So make sure you do what you say you're going to do when you say it, and make sure, you know, that you do. Because with planning for senior life, we're vetted and background checked. But we do we do CAP certified, and we modify people's homes to basically make sure that they're going to be safe in their home regarding grab bars, taking bathtubs out, handicap accessible. Alonso, Zamora, Wake Love Solution.
Great. No, this is, I love your story, Alonso, and I love how you've inspired your kids to be entrepreneurs. And I mean, it's every parent's dream that they could potentially be working for their kid. As bizarre as it is, I know it's one that I think is really cool. So, anyways, okay, so round one is done. We know our panel. So now let's jump into sort of some tips, guidance, and thoughts that you have that could help our audience, which is either live and can interact and ask questions right now, or in the future, looking at this as a video or a podcast. And I'm going to go to my co-host, Tom Grass with JK Moving Services. You know, Tom, you guys see a lot of moves and things of that nature in this area. Any sort of words of wisdom that you might offer to our audience on things they can do to help their loved ones or their clients?
Absolutely. Barbara couldn't have hit it better on the head with organization. I mean, when we're moving a home and we walk in and things aren't packed and things don't know where they're going, and if they're supposed to go on a truck, not on a truck, not in a box, organization is the key to making it stress-free, without a doubt. As far as the senior side of the moving business, of course, you know, we're moving a lot of people to Florida, Texas. Even with the pandemic and working from home, those are still high volume areas that we're moving people back and forth from. The trend is when they get in their early 60s or whatever, we take them, say, to Florida. And then when they get like 75 and 80 and they need to come back with their family for that extra help, you know, we're bringing them back up the road. So that's a continuing trend that we see these days.
You know, I want to jump on something that you just brought up there is, yeah, so you guys see where all these moves are going and coming pre-pandemic, and you brought up specifically Florida and Texas. We know those are really hot markets,
Very hot.
But have you seen the increases in moves and inquiries for moves to those two states jump from the normal trends after the COVID?
Yeah, so we have. Arizona's a hot spot, and believe it or not, lately with you know, the use of the internet and being able to advertise in different areas, we are bringing more and more people back out of California than ever before. It was always a mover's nightmare to go to California, because then the drivers would have to sit there and wait on the next load or the next shipment coming out of it. Lately, they're coming out of California a fair amount, so which entitles us to bring our trucks back closer to the East Coast, whether it's Tennessee, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. So those are some of the trends we're seeing today.
Cool. Well, let's jump to Barbara. Barbara, what are you seeing out there?
Well, there's a lot of different things, especially since we've gone through this COVID and trying to move individuals into communities. We've had to take extra precautions, extra steps, you know, wearing all the PPE equipment. It's taken longer to get the job done. And, you know, it's hard because they're not seeing us. They're not seeing our smiles. They're not seeing and getting to know us. But if I was to talk about a trend, or as Dave at Fair Split last time was talking about who gets grandma's yellow pie plate. And that was a series that I was able to provide 5 counties in my area with. And it's all about what is considered non-titled versus titled property. Titled property is, your cars, your homes, your stocks, your bonds. And then the non is the dishes, the things that have sentimental value. And when we go into these homes, the sentimental value things are the ones that are hardest to get rid of. But there is ways of doing this. And I think Dave, touched on a few of those. There is one that I wanted to share with you, if I could. And that is that there is a form that you can make, and you put down everything that as a parent, I'm downsizing now, I'm moving, I want to give away all this stuff to my kids, my friends, my church, wherever. So you make that list of where everything is going to go. You then will put down that item, and then you'll leave a space, and then the space will be, okay, I have to back up. Then you give this form to your loved ones and those people that you want to give the things away to. You have to have a time frame of having a 2-week period. You have to have it back. So I'd suggest, giving it out on Thanksgiving and asking it back during the new year. And then that person will take a look at that item, and then they'll put right next to it, why they want it, or if they want it. And then there'll be an extra spaces down below where they can add something. And then when you get the form back, you'll be surprised that, Johnny doesn't want the tools, but Jane wants all the father's tools. Then nobody wants the furniture, and you really want to give the furniture. But then, there are the things like untitled, Johnny wants dad's fishing pole. And then there's also that story, which is just wonderful, is the rolling pin. How kids wanted the rolling pin. And you, Steve, Coolidge and the dogs playing.
Oh yeah, the dogs playing cards. But since our last discussion last month, I forgot the exact quote, but one of the panel members said something about, remember, that brown furniture, that dark brown furniture that we used to call antiques. It's just dark brown furniture. I have talked about that with so many people in the last month, because it really is true. It's like the old furniture and the armoire doesn't have as much meaning to the generation that's following.
No.
This is good, Barbara, and I want to jump back to you before we, at some point, because you sent me some great before and after pictures. But let's go through our other panel members, and then we'll get to those. Let's see, Heather, you want to share some insights with us?
Well, I know you had asked me to share about NASMM, which is our national association. And so NASMM just went through rebranding, which is super exciting for those of us in the industry. We used to be known as the National Association of Senior Move Managers, which is great. And that's where most of our services are going to be provided, is in that senior realm. But they've rebranded to include other moves. So our new name is the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers, because other people are starting to contact us. We're getting known out there in the world. And you don't have to be 65 or 85 or 95 making this move to use our services. And so that's why we rebranded. And the National Association is fantastic for those of us in the industry. It gives us a little bit of credibility. It makes sure that we have a specific level of education. We have to take certain courses to be a member. We have to submit our bonding and insurance information every year to stay current. In addition to that, they also offer accreditations and certifications, so additional education for those of us who choose to do that. I know at Abilities Network, we have both. I know, Barbara, you're certified. Are you also accredited as well?
And to home specialty, aging in place.
They do all kinds of different accreditations and certifications that you can choose. So that's a great thing that provides for us. In addition to that, NASMM also puts on a conference every single year. Last year, the conference was exactly at the time that the world shut down. And so people were actually still at conference when a lot of things were shutting down. And it was interesting from what I hear. I was not there. For those of you who know me, I do have 4 children, 2 of which are still school age and require mom to be at home during the day or during the evenings to get them to their things. So I've never been able to attend conference until this year. So my 10th year in the business, I was finally able to get to conference because it was held virtually. And it was wonderful. So a lot of the stuff that we have going on really is not necessarily new news. It's just that we've changed the way that we're approaching things because of COVID. So during this whole last year, NASMM actually provided a lot of free additional education for us move managers to use that time wisely, that we were maybe down a little bit. And then realistically, we had great, Ask the Senior Move Manager panels where they were talking about how to create relationships with your retirement communities. There was another speaker, Dr. David Eckert, who talked about the predicament of possessions in later life. And that's kind of the thing that Barbara is getting to is, we get ourselves bogged down with possessions, and that really makes us feel like it's who we are. But realistically, we have to figure out who we are as we move into the next chapter. So lots of great information came out of that.
That's great.
It makes our life a lot easier and better.
Excellent. Hey, Tom, you want to, it looks like Jamie has a question for Heather. You want to grab that one? And then Jessica's got a question that I'll read.
Jamie says, Heather, how are you able to get grant money for this? It's so hard to turn these low-income clients away.
So because my program is not a standalone business, I actually run one of 4 programs underneath of a nonprofit umbrella of Abilities Network. Because I am part of that nonprofit, we found a local foundation that we submit a grant application to. And we've been very fortunate that they have approved our application and given us funding for the last 9 of our 10 years, which is awesome. And we, it's being a part of this nonprofit that allows me to do that.
Great. And then we'll get to Alonso here, but I want to, Jessica Williams had a question. Heather, can you tell us what types of specialty moves the new NASMM name represents?
Sure. The one that comes to mind is we recently helped a woman who was 8 months pregnant and trying to make a move at the same time. She clearly is not a senior, but she very much needed the same help that any of our other clients would. Fortunately, she was upsizing, so there wasn't a ton of the downsizing work to do, but still the coordinating of the move, the packing and unpacking, using movers like JK and bringing them into the fold, and just kind of managing that process for that client really helped reduce her stress. As you know, moving is one of the top 3 stressors in anyone's life. So doing it, whether you're 8 months pregnant or you're 95, it's very similar. Different situations, but very similar. So that would be one example.
And there are also other ones too. You can go and help those that are going through, I hate to say it, a divorce, brain injury. There are a lot of different transition. It can be anything. It can be stressful. It can be transition from schools. It can be transition.
Mm-hmm.
So
there are disabilities and need the support. All of that. Yep.
Sure.
That's great. All right, Alonso. You've got such a wide variety of things that you offer. I'm always super intrigued about the thrift shop. Like I would love to just like camp out and sort of see what people are dropping off and what people are picking up. But I'm curious, just, what insights can you share with the audience?
So absolutely. Well, one of the insights that I will tell you, it's the reason why I coached my son through possibly get into his business in the senior industry is because of the silver tsunami. There's 10,000 people turning 65 for the next 30 years. I mean, you guys know these numbers till 2050. That's another 29 years of business for all of us in the industry, right? That's 20% of the population. So regarding the thrift store, he's been in the CAP certification, renovating homes and things like that. And we've gotten in the mold remediation, but I got a call from a company called Halo Seal to deploy us to do disinfecting down at a couple of hospitals. So I'll tie this into the thrift store. So they deployed us down there to put disinfectant in a couple of hospitals, ambulance, first responders. This is back of April of last year, about a year ago, and some assisted living places that needed it. They were being hit very hard by COVID, and then people were afraid to take these donations into my thrift store or any other thrift store. Yeah. So what we were doing is with these machines, it kills everything. I mean, it kills humans, dog, pets, plants, lice, bed bugs, cockroaches. It kills everything. So we would put these donations inside the trucks and disinfect the trucks, so that way they could get to the thrift store, and then people will feel safe about it. Because the thrift stores are really make sure that they're safe out there. They're being controlled by the state regarding any piece of furniture that's coming in, that's being disinfected, that's being, anything with material usually. So we did stuff on the front end to help them. But you got to understand this, with White Glove Solution, we don't want to self-serve Be Thrifty whatsoever. So if there's any donations out there, we want to push it to their local church, their local charity. We work with 65 non-for-profits. So Heather, thank you so much for giving back to the community. Tom, I got to meet you because I know that we can do things together. But one of the biggest things is just giving back to the community. I force my kids to do a free job every month. It has to be free. We do a lot of pro bono. We do pro bono. So Heather, if you need our resources, please use them. Please use my son. But those are the things that I've seen out there. But also the other thing is, it's gotten a little bit more costly. I'm sure, I don't know, for Tom or Heather or Barbara, but now we're buying masks, we're buying shields, we're buying boots, we're buying PPEs. So the cost has gotten a little bit higher for some clients because we want to be protected, first of all, but we also want to protect them. So it's a mutual thing. Luckily for White Glove Solution, we have some great partnerships where we go into some communities and we've been able to be vaccinated. So that way we don't spread the COVID around, because we are, like Tom is one of the first responders out there, that they're going from community to community, and they got to make sure that we keep safe, his employees keep safe, and that also that the seniors stay safe. So that's what I've seen out there. There's a lot of changes regarding, how to stay safe.
Great. Yeah. Great feedback and tips. And I know giving away things is always sort of a topic of interest on discussions like these. So, okay. So we got through round 2. So I'm just going to remind everybody to throw your questions out there. Patrice Henry says, hello all, thank you so much for sharing this information. I know those of us in the industry, we sometimes take this for granted that there's professionals out here like this, but most people don't realize that they don't have to do these difficult transitions on their own, that there's a support network for them. I want to, Barbara, I want to share some of the before and after photos that you emailed over to me. But before I do, I just want to kind of bounce back to my co-host, Tom, who, the first thing that you brought up was how, people being organized when they're going into a move, how important that is. And do you find a difference between somebody doing a move where they're sort of doing it themselves, and then they're doing a move and they're utilizing one of the 3 people, like a move manager,
sure,
or an organization? Like what's the difference that you see there?
But we love working with the move managers. And we pretty much know what we're going into.
Thank you.
There's a story one day where I was the sales rep, I was the driver, and I was moving this little lady, if you will, and she said, I'm going to pack everything. And I show up that morning as the driver and nothing's packed. So we scrambled and we got packing material. We packed her, we moved her, we unloaded her. And then as she's writing me the check, she goes, you saved my life, and that makes you feel good, that you can do that. But that was a smaller scale job. When you get bigger scale jobs, that becomes 2 days, 3 days. And you can't always do that. So having the move managers there prior, prepping, helping, is key.
And actually, I mean, in theory, when somebody is contracting with you and they're using a move manager, they're spending less with you because everything is organized and ready to go. The other thing, this is for all the panel members, when you're helping somebody sort of go through their possessions and you're looking at various items that could go up for auction or hosting an estate sale or something like this, do you find that there are many households where, hey, we were able to help this household find these various items that have value, and that actually paid for the move management bill or the move bill? Like, have you had many clients that are like that? I know everybody thinks their stuff is way more valuable than it is, but do you stumble in things that are valuable that can help sort of cover their moving bills?
Well, I can try to field that. I think all of us have. I mean, Heather, I'm sure you have. We go into homes and we find cash. We have found gems behind, tape behind desk drawers. We found a string of pearls that, they looked high and low for before we were even hired to come in. They couldn't find because, and we found them, and it was pearls that her mother had given her, who had passed, on her wedding day. And then there are things like deeds and lockbox keys and things that, we're cleaning out a house and the siblings never even knew that their parents had this. So there's been thousands of dollars, we have found and yeah, it's.
Well, those are great examples. Since you're bringing up, a move, I think all of us can comment on these photos that Barbara sent over. So let me share my screen here. And I know this is going to be hard to see, but this is, let's see. So Barbara, this is an electrical panel before. There's supposed to be an electrical panel here.
Yeah. Yes. And it's a couple that what we call either 5 stages to hoarding. We will go up to stage 3. And a lot of times we call it spiraling down, because with the aging population, they just get tired and then they don't see the dust. They don't see the cobwebs. They don't need to go down to the basement. Well, unfortunately, they had to bring us in because it was just a hazard that they couldn't get to the electrical panel. So if you can show the next slide.
There it is.
Yeah. And the reason why there's so much additional clutter is that we only had 4 hours because they were on a budget. So we had to do it as fast as we could and as safely. And then there's also another picture where you can't even see the washer and dryer. But then again,
let's see. This is the laundry area.
Yep.
Wow. And is this the same house?
Yes.
It's interesting because it looks like I've seen in all the photos these power tools, and you can see that they haven't even been opened. They're still wrapped.
Steve, very observant. He had thousands of dollars in tools.
I bet you if you could help him sell those tools, he could pay for more hours of your service.
Exactly.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
what we tried to get to do is they were in a 3-level townhouse, and the husband had Alzheimer's and she has walking issues. So they really need to get into a single family home. She's the major caregiver because she never goes upstairs and she never goes down to the basement. Now, how do you do that? And I'll just stop there because that's probably another time. But seniors do not know, they're smart, but they don't know all the resources that are available to them out there. And that's where we come in. I didn't know what a transition services company was 10 years ago, but there are a lot of resources out there for them that we can help them with.
Hey, Tom, I see Patrice has a really good comment / question that might be a great discussion topic for the panel. You want to share that?
So Patricia's asking that she still has a townhouse that she has and she's paying rent on, but she's busy and she needs some help packing it out. Patricia's a couple different things that we can do. Either a mover can come in, and as long as it's pretty straightforward, we have packers, we have movers, and we can pack it up and move it to wherever, our storage facility, a mini storage, the new house that you're currently at. If there's things that you want to go through, maybe send to Goodwill or a thrift store or a church, or maybe sell something at an auction or something like that, you may want to bring in one of the senior move managers or the move management transition people, however, to help you sort it out. And I'm assuming, I know some move managers do pack and unpack, and we do just the moving, and that's fine too. So we just want to do our part, whatever way it is. So, sure. Heather, you want to talk on that?
Yeah, I would just say that if she wants to let us know what area she's in, we may be able to connect her with a specific, resource, whether it's coming, having Tom and his group come out and just pack it up and take it to storage, or if you're in the need of help with more of the organizing part of it before you even get to the packing, that's where the specialty of move management kind of comes in and can help out. And we can help manage that whole process. So even if Tom and his guys are coming or gals are coming in to pack up and move it, and you need somebody there to open the door and let them in and kind of oversee and make sure things are going smoothly, we can do just that piece of it as well. I actually have one of those moves happening tomorrow.
Very good. Alonso, I know you want to say something on that.
Most definitely, Tom. And yeah, thank you. Am I good? So one of the biggest things, and I agree with Tom, I think one of the biggest things is most people focus on the little things. There might be a lamp, a Tiffany lamp worth $10,000 in that home, right? There might be some crystal, there might be some brown furniture, antique, things like that. But I think the sooner you can bring Barbara in, or Heather and Tom, because the biggest asset of the whole thing is a townhouse. Mm-hmm. So if we can get it into storage, especially into Tom's storage, and have that, or U-Haul or wherever it needs to be stored. But I think Tom's their facility is just fantastic. So if you could go ahead and figure out how to get everything to storage and categorize it, and have somebody like Barbara, have somebody like Heather, and categorize it so that way you know what's actually in value, right? So you hire somebody for that. But if you can do it in a week or 2 weeks, imagine if you just put it as a mortgage payment and you took 6 months, a year to collect it, and you're paying $3,000. You just blew over $30,000, $36,000 out the door. Yep. So my thing is how to just make it more efficient, because most people focus just on the smaller piece, but it's not stuff. It's life belongings. It's something that they care about. It's not stuff. It's life belongings that they have shared for about 30, 40, 50 years. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because it's their life belongings. I'm one of the few contractors that I talk to people, and I spend hours and hours and hours because I love our seniors, because I learned so much. I'm one of the few contractors that shows up to their funeral. They are like, Alonso, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
They're shocked about it, right? But it's because they've given me some knowledge in my life. And that's what I pass on to my kids.
And
The,
Patrice, I'm actually reading the question and it says, I'm embarrassed to say that I'm paying rent, or I'm embarrassed of. Please understand that us as move managers have seen everything.
Everything.
Seen the pictures that Barbara just shared.
I can tell you this, that Tom, his rent, the storage is going to be a lot less than that mortgage or than rent. It's a lot less money.
But we are very non-judgmental people by nature. So do not be embarrassed of your situation.
We'd like to say we've seen it all, but we haven't yet.
But
That too.
But Patrice is in Baltimore County.
Okay.
And so Patrice, and this for everybody, we'll be sharing this recording. We'll share contact information with everybody. We'll share the chat if you don't want to, write somebody's number down, what have you. But she's in Baltimore County, Maryland, and to Alonso's suggestion, I'm thinking of putting it all in storage. But if you can get assistance in organizing all of that before it goes into storage, you don't want to just sort of like go straight into storage. You're just moving a problem.
Exactly.
So that's great. Let's see. Adele Lund says, I've worked with both senior communities and realtors specializing in working with seniors over many years. I can vouch for the fact that too many professionals in this area don't fully understand the value of move management companies. I encourage you to find new ways to spread the word of not just what you do, but how it impacts their role, their work, and their services to seniors. They need you and it will change their business. Well, Adele, you're sort of validating what I have sort of found so great about these discussions, whether it be with the move managers or the aging life care managers or the elder law attorneys. There just needs to be more awareness on the great resources that are out there, and the fact that there's a lot of different businesses and they're all sort of being run a little bit different. So you sort of talk to a few, find the one that you click with, and this is going to be great.
Steve, I'll add, I know there are other move managers on the call as well. And you can, as a professional, reach out to any of us, and we present all the time about our services, about downsizing, about how we connect with other professionals. So certainly if you have, the need to have us do a presentation to bring that to that group of people, any of us are happy to do that. And
Patrice typed in, thank you so much. I feel better. Patrice, that makes me feel really good. Tom, Cynthia has a really relevant question. If you want to read it, and we can go around the panelists here and maybe share our insights on this. I knew this one was going to come up sooner or later.
Yeah. Can you share a range of fees that you charge? Do you have a schedule based on complexity, time, etc.?
Well, I probably can. A year or two back, when they did the study across the United States, NASMM did, the fees were somewhere between $55 and $125. But now that's all, with everything that's happened with the COVID and taking extra precautions, I'm sure it's changed.
I say that I've seen it anywhere between probably $95 all the way up to $150 an hour. So that's what I'm sorry?
We're in the Baltimore area and we are a nonprofit, so our fee structure is slightly less expensive oftentimes. I won't say all the time. We range anywhere from about $55 up to $70 an hour, depending on the specific service you're looking for and how many people and how many hours we need. So I know, just like any other move manager, we will do a free in-home consultation so we can give that person a specific proposal for their needs and what's going to fit their life.
And thank you for saying the in-home consultation, because that is very important to do prior
Hugely important.
Is this usually labor only?
Every NASMM member has a different fee structure in how they charge. Some are a straight hourly rate. Some charge a project rate. some charge an hourly rate and add like an administrative fee. So you just really need to have each individual company come out and kind of talk to you about their fee structure and get a proposal. I find it's like asking a plumber over the phone for an estimate when you can't even see the leak, right? I could walk into a house and it's completely minimal, and that might be a $500 move, and I might walk into what Barbara just showed us, and that's like thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of services.
And it all depends on the client. If the client's going to micromanage you, of course, it's going to take more hours, and you have to determine, well, then you're not going to send in the whole team. You're only going to send in maybe one or two.
Yep. Tom, do you want to talk about the moving side fees? Because that's separate from us usually.
Sure.
The move manager has the moving company.
Absolutely. So when we do local work, it's time and material. It's how many men and how many trucks we need. So we come with the largest straight truck available. It holds about 10,000 pounds. But any of your 4, 5, 6 bedroom homes probably hold 18 to 20,000 pounds. So there'll be 6 men, 2 trucks, and so on and so forth. When we do interstate moves, it goes by zip code to zip code plus the weight of the shipment. So if you take part of a tractor trailer, we could have 3 families in there. We could have 5 shipments in there, and we go down the road, and then we give a window area of when it will be delivered, because we're trying to keep the cost down for everybody and fill that trailer up. If we took a trailer down for, say, one of every 5 shipments, and it was only doing half of a trailer load or a quarter, that would be too cost prohibitive. So we try to consolidate it as much as we can.
Can I just throw out there too that move managers can help navigate interstate moves as well? There's enough of us across the country that we can handle each end and then coordinate for the move to happen and coordinate between each other to make sure that goes smoothly as well.
Sure.
That's
and
great.
One last thing, with the COVID and everything, Steve, we have a couple different ways to do surveying and estimating, right? So you can walk around with your own phone and take a picture of the room, and with artificial intelligence, it'll show us the capacity or what you have, and you do each room and it will add it all up and it will give it to us. We could walk around with you while you're doing that and talk to you through it, or we can still come in home with our mask protection and the COVID protocols and walk around and talk to you face to face.
A couple of questions came up when we were talking about that. One is from Helen. Is it okay just to leave most of your stuff for the garbage truck?
You want it to go away, but you really know what's in there.
Yeah, and also if you think about it, you're either in a rental situation where if you do that, your landlord is going to charge you. But and this is tied into Alonso and a lot of the stuff that you do, I'm sure, is that if you own that home and you're going to sell it, you want to get all that stuff out, and you want to get somebody like White Glove in there to tune it up so that you're going to get the best price for that home.
Absolutely. One of the other things that we do finance, we're one of the very few contracting companies that will finance the project. We'll do a bridge loan. We'll get paid on settlement when we sell the house. When they sell it, that's when we get paid. So that way we put all the money up front. We can invest it to Barbara. We can invest it to do the move. And then we can go ahead and do the construction, paint it, whatever we need to do. But it has to make sense to the client. It has to make sure that if I'm going to put $50,000 into a home, I want to make sure they're going to get 100 or 125. If we're investing 50,000 to get 50,000, I say sell it as is. I don't want it. One of the other things that I'll tell you a little bit about the putting things in trash. I've seen a lot of kids who call me and they're like, what do we do with our life belongings? Or what do we do with this? They call it stuff, right? I think that sometimes when they want to do it and put it in the trash, I don't want no part of it. I'm landfill free. I refuse. I turn jobs down because of it, because it's the least expensive way. And I get it, but I'm not going to do something that where I'm just going to feel where families can benefit out of these things. Right. So one of the things about Be Thrifty, there's, if you guys can take this down, is Project Be Green. Project Be Green is the company that picks up all the donations. Now you have to have it outside. It's a little complicated. Like that's why White Glove Solution grew from that. But Project Be Green will take clothes which have holes in it, clothes that have tears, they have stains. They don't care if they're sheets, whatever it is. And they turn it into carpet fibers. So they sell the product to turn it into carpet fibers. So the whole Be Thrifty and Project Be Green, it's about the environment. So it's not about so much donations. A lot of people get stuck on these donation receipts, right? And they're like, well, I'm going to give you my sofa, but I need a donation receipt, right? Well, then if you're giving the sofa, give it to somebody who needs it in kind. What do you need back? I mean, it's because you want a tax break. It's not that much of a tax break anyway. You need to talk to your accountant on that. So, but give it because you want to give it. That's my point.
Great. No, that's great. Wow. I can't believe the hour's almost over. We got a couple of other questions, comments. Carla Gardner says, I imagine that the hardest part is sorting out papers and documents. How do you manage valuable papers?
She's really good.
Papers,
Really good.
documents, and photos tend to take a very long time. So of course we have rules of thumb, you know, when we have our cheat sheet on how long you should keep certain documents and things like that. So a lot of times what we do is we help sort out the other things with the client and leave the documents and paperwork as homework, because they do have to look at almost every piece of paper to see if it's something that's important or not. And so we'll check on them and say, okay, did you get through your box of paperwork since I was here last time? And yes, okay, the next box is coming to you. Now, if there's only 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 boxes of paper, sometimes we even recommend box it up and move it with you, because when you get to your next phase of life, you're going to have a little more time to look through that than you do right now. If it's 25 drawer filing cabinets of papers, that's a different story, and we'd have to get in there, you know, to help them sort through that. But so, you know, it depends on the situation.
And anything with Social Security numbers or bank account numbers, separate file.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ken Silverstein says, I've just completed going through my parents' papers, and it's quite an undertaking, the things that you discover. And let's kind of finish on this one, because I think I find this interesting. Adele Lund says, with so many variables attached to each job, how do you assess a job and have it be on the mark for the client? And I think, you know, I'm interested in all of your feedback on this one, because I think matching expectations with reality is something that not just in our industry, it's what every business has to deal with. But when you look at some of the pictures that Barbara gave us, it's sort of like, okay, how do you properly decipher, you know, with all of the variables when you start digging into this, so that your client knows what to expect and what they're going to pay for. We'll just kind of, let's just go around the block here, and then if you want to sort of give some closing statements, we'll wrap up this month's discussion.
Well, you know, in that one situation where I had the pictures, we took pictures and showed them what the basement looked like. And then we showed them the work that we completed after 4 hours. And we only had 2 individuals that were down there, team members that were down there, because you couldn't move.
Mm-hmm. So I think the other part of that is it comes with experience. I mean, both Barbara and I have been doing this for quite a while, and we can walk into a home and go, oh, this is going to be an easy one, or I need to add some extra hours because it might be a little tougher. So partly it comes with experience, but I also, when I do my proposals, if I can't get a read on how quickly someone's going to make decisions during our sorting process, I leave that open-ended. I'll give them our hourly rate and say as needed or to be determined. That way, and I'll explain why I did that is, you know, I can't really, that part of the fee is really determined by how quickly you're going to help us work through the process. And so I can't determine that exactly. And then in addition, as I add up the proposal, I always give a little bit of a range. That way I can kind of give myself a little fluff, and I much prefer coming in higher on my proposal and lower on my final cost, right? And then that way they're happy. So setting the expectation in advance really helps when you get to that final bill.
How about you, Alonso?
I agree. I mean, they've hit everything. They've hit everything right on the bat, on the nose. I think time and materials, you know, you could always be rough, and yes, I love to come up ahead and then always give, you know, over promise. I mean, over promise, under deliver, or however it works. But it's you know, because I want the client, you know, or I just want the clients to be happy. I mean, it's and if it means if they're not happy and I have to do it for free because it's another pro bono job because they're not happy, I'd rather just give it to them. I just think it's more important because our reputation's on the line. So I'd rather walk off a job because I don't want anybody to talk bad about our company. That's a key. That's even if we have to do it for free. So
yep. Great. And then let's see. Well, Tom, I'm going to come back to you, my co-host. I know I'm not the easiest person to co-host with because I tend to just babble incessantly, but you do a really good job of breaking in there. Any sort of closing thoughts? And actually, before I get to that, here's one more question here, which asks, Rabab says, do you help with where to donate or sell antiques? Like yeah, you know, I know we were joking about brown furniture, but there is value to some of this. Any sort of guidance on people with antiques?
Well, for me, there's a number of auction houses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is a number of places that you can donate depending upon what your end result is on what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we all have our areas or our places that we go to donate or for auction or what have you.
And I would say it's important to have one of us come out early in the process, because what you think is valuable may not be selling, but what you think is trash may be what's really valuable. And so we kind of have a gauge on that in our own markets, and we can say, no, just donate that brown furniture, but hey, that silver that's in that brown buffet, that's what you want to sell. So we can help manage that a little bit as well.
Great.
And I'm going to add something to, you know, the move managers that, you know, seniors, when we're working with a lot of seniors, I think what they want is make sure sometimes it's not the cash. Sometimes it's not, they just want their brown furniture to find a good home. That's it. They just want to find a good home for a good family because they had in their coffee table, dining room table, whatever, where they had dining, they just want another family to enjoy what they enjoy.
No, great insights and comments. To the whole panel, I thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, and JK Moving. And a reminder to everybody, we've recorded this. We save it as a podcast so you can share it with your friends, family, clients. And then we'll also send you everybody's contact information and a transcript of the chat later this afternoon. Tom,
very good. Thank you,
good discussion.
Thank you, everybody who attended.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Yeah, thank you for all our guests.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Heather.
All right, take care.
Steve,
Heather.
wonderful, Steve.
I'm going to go up to Baltimore and have lunch with you, Heather.
Please, I need to be thrifty up here.